This is your daily market recap for Thursday, July 7th, 2022. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at EXP Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market recap for Thursday, June 7th, 2022. Let's get into it. First off, I want to congratulate all the people who are learning and putting in the time. I can see who's doing the work based on basically the way that people react to a lot of the posts and information on the Discord room. It starts to click. People who are newer, I get it. It takes time. Again, if you're given a basketball, you got to go to the gym. You got to get comfortable with the game. You got to play and practice on your own a little bit. But I'm really proud of some of the folks that have taken this information and used it to their advantage. Again, we're all different. We all trade slightly differently, but I know there's a ton of people who are winning big. And again, it's not because of anything other than yourself. You ultimately have to put in the work. You hit enter, you hit exit in your trades. You might follow me, but as I've said, walk with me. You don't owe me anything. Again, you deserve the results you get. Again, if you want to follow me and walk with me on a trade, great. But ultimately, you have to execute it, because I know for a fact you can give people great trade setups, perfect insight of what to do, and they'll still mess it up. We've all been there. I've done that. Someone's given me great opportunities. That's just how it is. The emotions of trading really mess things up. Again, so congratulations to everybody who's taken it upon themselves to learn, because there's a lot of people who see this information and don't think it's real in the sense of it can actually work, because they're so used to FinTwit, they're so used to the typical ways of learning how to trade being wrong, because they are. Keep in mind, you guys that know that we are following the rules of the market makers. We understand how this is a casino that is meant to take your money. So we are always on watch and understanding of how the markets work. We're not trading like the gambler. We're not walking into casino and playing the game like the gambler. We're trying to play the game like the houses. We're following the money. We're trying to be smart. And again, that is very different than most people are used to. I won't go any longer on that rant, but I'm very happy and thankful for your donations, and just know that you're doing well. Because again, I don't expect anything. I want people to get out of the hole. I want them to learn. And then if you feel like this has been a tremendous asset to you and has benefited your life, then donate. Don't just donate because you feel like you have to. Like, learn something. Take something out of this. And if it seems like it's worth it and you recommend it to someone who really needs this help, that's what it's about. It's about giving back. Because ultimately, as you guys know, the trades that I post, I'm taking them. And if you're doing well on them, imagine I'm doing well as too. So again, I appreciate your generosity, because I will be trying to build this server and build this site up better, ultimately for the users who come in and the future generation of folks who need to learn. Again, we all need a coach. As we said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Sorry for that long rant. Check out the side rooms. Again, there's so much information. There's so many people ask generic questions. It's like, go to this room, go to the education room, go to the reference article, go to the recommended reading, check out the volume price analysis, check out Jesse Livermore. I mean, there's so many rooms in here with information. It's just, don't be scared to get lost in it. Check it out. Bitcoin. What do we say? If this holds, it's bullish. Set your stops at the lows, you're good. Now the next question becomes, can you get over 2160s? If it does, perfect. What have we said all along? You don't really know. Is it one of these chop zones to go lower, or is it this chop zone to launch higher? At this point, we still don't know. We just don't know. So roll your stops up if you're unsure, and have a plan. That's what I really try to preach. Have a plan. Like, if this happens, you do this, and you don't question it. And if that means you stop out because you're wrong, no worries. And if it rises, what do I say? Just as you layer in, you layer out. If you're going to hold Bitcoin forever, again, know your core position, know how to trade around it. Oil. What did we say? What did we say yesterday? We're near the low end of range. Don't be surprised it popped. There's some stuff that happened overnight in Europe about oil inventories referring to some sort of Russia cutting somebody off and yada, 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 whatever. It was due to bounce. You add in the news, boom. That's what happens. So keep that in mind. That's what's going on with oil. We'll get into oil deeper when we get into the e-signal trading, or my charts versus just trading view. TLT. All right, let's talk about that, because I want to first start off on the 10-minute chart. We talked about this action here around 130, 113.80s, right under 114. Well, then look what happened. At some point in the day, look at this trap. Lower volume, rally back with higher, closed, look at the, and you can see at the close too. Good volume after hours. Again, I anticipate lower yields, meaning the market is pricing in a recession. Let's not get that wrong. Like, that's why rates have gone lower. If you actually look at, all of the information, what's going on there, like, it's very clear there's a recession coming. That's what's hilarious to me at this point too, because bears are looking at the market through the lens of how they want to get played. They don't realize it. Like, the market's already priced in the start of a recession. Because usually what happens is the start of a recession, the feds, the government gets a little worried. What are they going to do? They're going to try to counteract it going into an election. Now, again, will it be fruitful? Will it work? Probably not. But that does not mean the market can't rally. Like, people just expect these straight line moves. Well, so how does that affect rates? Let's roll it back to rates. I've said I think lower yields are good for the market. Well, what's happened the last 2 days? The yields have gone higher. The TLT has gone lower. We watch the 10-minute. Again, that action into the close looks like stopping power. I would not be surprised to see this rally back. Because if the jobs number comes out tomorrow and it's weaker, the rates should go lower, TLT should go higher. But will the market like that? You have to not look. Again, this is what confuses newer traders. They're reading the news, and the news is what? It's backdated. It's looking at old information. It's trying to anticipate the future based on current information. But again, if yields change, if oil comes down, all these never-ending factors changing, you have to remember, this is chaos. Like, there's so many variables. Well, as the variables change, you have to change with them. And that's what I think the market's doing. It's discounting now what? A recession, dropping, and then it's going to try to say if yields go lower and the feds do less hikes, and again, we can generalize exactly what it might be, but we don't know. But I do understand how the market, again, at the lows is going to ultimately push. The market makers are going to push tons of negative information and data out there. Again, if you're like, what are you talking about? These rules and information. Well, here we go. These are the rules. Pause it, check this out, go to the room. Just look. I mean, it's very simple. It's all about the specialists. They're merchants. They buy at wholesale prices who sell at retail. Well, think about the market. It has come down a big amount. And ultimately what's happened? They've got a lot of inventory. They got to mark it up to sell it back to you, me, if we're not smart enough to realize what they're doing. So how's that, again, affect the TLT? I think you need to hold. I wanted to hold 114s, but again, look at the volume. It's light volume. You really don't know sometimes how stretched something can get on light volume. At this point, you have your stops, you have your plan. I'm not really watching it. I don't have options on it, so I'm not sitting here with time constraints. I've got shares. I'm just gonna wait out. And if you want to close out the trade to put in something better, that's fine too. Just remember, like, have a plan. Don't just sit in here and just go, well, I'm gonna do this because I feel like this, and I'm gonna want to do that. Not how you trade. Don't do that. Don't do that. That is gambling. The dollar. What have we said? I've said this a million times. This is why gold bulls are just driving me crazy. The dollar, the end game for the dollar is not ending on a smash. It's ending on the freaking rocket rise up. That's how something dies. That's how a trade dies. Think of Tesla goes on the monster run. Any stock, the stock market, whatever. It went on a parabolic rise up before the failure. Same thing's going to happen with the dollar, in my opinion. I've shown you guys. I remember weeks ago, people were like, oh, we're at the channel highs here a couple months ago. And they're like, oh, it's coming back down. I'm like, no, this looks like just a chop. And I was like, as long as you hold 217 or 27, which we did, look what happened. Boom, coming back to our highs. What up, Cat? It's time for you to sit in my lap. I get it. And now what? We're back. We're chugging along the new highs. Now, I've said this recently. I think the dollar might take a break near term, but it doesn't mean it can't blow out to something crazy. Then you buy gold. Then you buy silver. Something, there'll be opportunities. Because again, I get a ton of flack because I come from a gold, silver background, miners, metals miners, whatever. And people follow me like you're a trader. And it's like, no, I'm more loyal to my stops and making money and opportunities versus being right. Again, I know long term, if I buy physical right now at spot price, it's a gift. Trading the paper game, I have zero doubts that it could probably implode the paper game before it goes higher. The VIX, again, watch the previous videos. What did we say? When we could not break out, We said you're going to come back at worst to channel lows. And people are like, oh, but it's a bear market. Well, no crap. Study previous bear markets. You get, where's 2008? I apologize. You're going to get some volatility in the VIX before the final blowout, even into the 2000s. Look at this. You got chop. Remember, keep in mind, the VIX is more tied to S&P 500 versus the VIXN, which is the VIX of the Qs. It wasn't around in the 2000s. But look at this action. Chop, then spike. Spike. See that? Like, you can't just sit here on your laurels and go, oh, it's going straight line move. No, look at it, it'll build up. And this is actually bearish long term, but bullish near term. Like, you see how we can pivot mentally and trade to take advantage of everything. And ultimately, if we miss something, there's always something later. Again, we don't have to trade everything. That's why I keep telling people, like, if the market continues to rip higher, I'm taking 90% of my money off on all these trades because they've gone up so fast. And then when things get choppy and go sideways, I'll evaluate. Do I want to add or I want to stop out? We've been in such a smart position with the SPY and anticipating moves that if you followed the channel, you know that's what we're trying to do, anticipate. So what happens real quick, if the SPY jumps up to the 395 channel low area or channel high near term, it's probably going to take a pause. Could it be this before a flop? Maybe. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of scenarios. Could it be a chop before a little bit higher? I don't know. I mean, that's the question you have to ask yourself. And that's why I tell people, you layer in, you layer out. You know, the more you're up, the more you're out. Now, again, I still believe this is a long-term bear market. So do I want to overstay my welcome on the upside? No, but I know seasonality. I know basically till mid-July, the start of earnings, the market should rise. After that, now the probabilities go down. So my comfort level to stay in trades goes what? Goes down. I'm not going to continue to press my bets. Because again, if it's a bear market rally, it could be something like that. Or it could be something like this. My guess is it's more like this bigger move because we have, you think of the rubber band man theory. You mean big run, pop, smaller run, exhaustion gaps. We talked about this is very exhausting, like capitulation, rally back. So let's do the move. Let me try to pull up a 120 because maybe I can get a better chart for you folks to see where I think the, I'm going to change it to daily real quick. And we'll draw the fibs. Gotta get this. Man, that thing is compressed. Again, I appreciate you guys and just bearing with me on this sometimes. Okay. So look where the zones are. I mean, I've said this many times. I think you could get over 400, and I would not be surprised if ultimately. Here's channel 1. Again, I'm just duplicating what I have on the daily. 0.25 right here, 0.38. Again, I think we break this downtrend because if you look at the previous bear market rally, what did it do? Again, I hope this stuff really starts to set in. Like, what did the previous bear market rally do? It broke. I guess it's really tough to make a perfect downtrend here, but let's just say, just for hypothetically speaking, in the nuance of what it is, what did it do? It broke the downtrend. It made people get bullish again right before it went lower. I think that seems very obvious. At worst, you're getting somewhere in the low 400s. That seems logical. But if we get up to 395, 400 tomorrow, again, the squeeze is on, but I think it could be met with some sellers. Because again, 360 up to 400, you do the math, 10% in almost 3 weeks. A big move in the SPY. Again, volatility does that. Again, where are we saying? Somewhere up between here and probably here. Let me draw it in here. Like, this to me would be the max upside. I know there's a lot of zones now. I apologize. Let me try to clean this up. Nah, whatever. You know it. You see it. Okay. Qs. Trying to make these videos succinct, but there's a lot going on. You really got to be aware of what is going on. You have to be very, very, very aware. QQQ. What did we say? Compressing. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to fail. No, it's not. Here we go. Back up. 50-day. This first little zone could be compression. I still think at some point, just like this bear market rally, you get back up. I mean, why not 315 minimum? P minimum. So it just is what it is. We don't know. That's why I hate when people go, what's your price target? I don't know. I need to see the action. Because if I see a novice gap at the high, that might be the time. Here you go. Here was the novice gap and then chop. Remember, we talked about professional gaps, novice gaps. You see how, like, once you put all this together, it makes a lot more sense. So at this point, now what? What else? You just got to trade the market. I hate when people go, give me a target. I don't know, because the market makers don't trade targets either. They're inventory seeking. They are looking to unlock volume. They want you to puke. They want you to chase the high so they can sell to you. You don't know what that price is until it happens. That's why people who trade in definitive market dynamics lose, because the market's not rational. It's not definitive. It does not work like that. IWM, we said this was going to pop. It's popping. Let's just move on. Gold, silver. Again, let's roll through these quick, because these are so funny, because so many people are like, oh, this is capitulation. I'm like, no, I've never seen bulls hold hands, sing kumbaya at the bottom in gold. And look at the action. Yeah, I think it should bounce here. We're in a support zone. But this isn't capitulation. This isn't blowing everybody out. Look at the volume. It's not confirming. I've said this a billion times. I say it every video. The best time to buy gold is when the market capitulates. Here you go. 2000 in a bear market. Here you go. Bam. Slam down into 2018. Even where it was COVID, and then snapback. This, again, we are now in the handle. There is no rush. There is no psychological rush to get into this stuff, because, again, the handle could put you in purgatory. Could this be 2 years? I hope to gosh not. But it could be. We'll know when the blowout comes. And again, if we're in a bear market, well, we all agree there's a bear market in the stock market. It's not going to end in the first 6 months. End of story. So now what? Leave it alone. Oh, it's going to pop. I got to play. Leave it alone. Just telling you. Silver, same thing. I say this over and over and over and over. You play silver. Here you go. Here was the COVID spap. Here was the bear market and snap. Everything else between is purgatory. You are now entering the purgatory zone. We all know the feds manipulate gold and silver. They will not stop manipulating this stuff until what? They have to just unwind their positions and let this run because of what? A bear market being over, printing more money, whatever you want to tie to the reason. It's just not now. And again, this is not capitulation in my mind. It's just price action that's generating buzz. People are like, oh, the miners are up. They should lead metals. Well, the miners have gotten absolutely shit canned. Again, we told you to sell up here. No, nobody listened. Oh, novice gap. We're like, goodbye. Or professional gap. Good night. We're like, oh, crap, GDXJ or GDX. We saw this gap. We're like, you got to start taking profits. Then it just got worse. And then now what? People want to buy it down here. Again, I understand the logic here. Again, I just like it. You see the snapback after the wipeout? We're not at a wipeout. Look at the volumes again. Look at that volume. Look at this. Nothing. If you understand volume price analysis, again, it's not a foolproof science. I'm not going to ever sell that. But if the market makers are inventory seeking mechanisms looking for discounts to sell later, why aren't they loading the boat down here? Something is wrong with this trade. Again, it might be play out, it might be weeks before you realize it, but same thing, GDXJ, boom. Whatever this was in 2015, I forgot. I think it was something with China, right back. We're not there yet. AG, again, buy it at your own peril. We warned you up here. I mean, I think I did a novice gap, pro gap video on this, and it was like, professional gap, look what happened. Boop. Professional gap, boop. Where's the interest? Again, there's just none. AEM, gonna run through these again. Leave them alone. I think I like it down here for a bounce. Good company, doing great. I think you could probably find yourself in the 30s at some point. NFGC, like this one a lot. Know that the Sprott Master is buying it. Little bit of volume, probably should bounce. It has gotten absolutely murdered. PAAS, again, you can play these names, but don't expect a lot. You're trying to squeeze a ton of juice out of a lemon. This isn't an orange or a pomegranate or whatever, a watermelon. Like, you're trying to juice it out of a little lime, a little lemon. I don't think there's much upside. Next, all right, here we go. Materials names. People are like, oh, but you sold out. Yeah, but look, follow me on the trades that we got into. My biggest concern with these, again, I think they're oversold. Let's not argue that. I think I've said this 1,000 times. I think these material names are due to rise. The biggest worry that I have between the difference between tech and material names is China is sitting on a ton of inventory. If we do a trade, if we wind back, unwind the trade tariffs, and China starts dumping cheap steel, copper, whatever material you want into the American markets, that's not going to help these names. Now, maybe it's priced in. That's the hardest part to know here. Maybe it's priced in. We'll see. I don't know. I just really don't have a good bearing. And again, I didn't get the lows. I got stopped out, actually. Check Nucor. A nice rip back. Again, if you held it, cool. I got stopped out. You can see I got stopped out on this day. How convenient. It just is what it is. Again, we bought it down here. And again, I respect my stops, and this happens sometimes. But now what? I just don't trust it. Notice how it hit the 20-day, backed off. We'll see. Again, if Uncle Joe winds back Grandpa Trump's tariffs, the cheap Chinese inventory from their lockdowns is coming flying onto our shelves or into our country. You can bet on it all day, every day, Sunday. VALE, remember they're Brazilian. Again, we talked about this level. Look at that. Hit it, boop, bounced. You're like, where is this level coming from? It's coming from the past. Every level is based on the past. Again, play the bounce. Just be very nimble, because the stuff could flip in a second. One headline. Oh, look at this uranium. Again, we talked about it. It should hold down here. I'm not bearish, but I did say up here, head and shoulders top. Look at this. Doji high, professional gap. Now, is this a professional gap off the low? I don't know. Remember, here's a novice gap. Dude, gaps, if understood, are amazing. Here you go. Professional gap led to a big run. Again, when we get into SMH and stuff, you're going to go, ooh, remember that novice and pro gap. Here you go. Pro gap. How high? We'll see. Again, you only have so much money. You can only do so many things. So you have to be one cognizant of what you're going to do with it. I just prefer to stay away from anything that has a headline risk at this point. And if knowing the current administration, how much they bend over backwards for everyone other than America, I'm not surprised if they wind back some tariffs. Arrow, we talked about this range in the 8 might be a buy. Everyone's, what was it? Wild Warriors excited about copper. Cool. I'm not, because again, I know China's sitting on a ton of copper inventory. If they want to unload it, good. Is that priced in? We don't know. It's probably more than likely. But that news could come out. You could drop hard and then rally back. That would be the hardest part about this trade with materials. Again, got dumped out of Mosaic, went back to channel lows, now popped, leaving it alone. CF, it popped back much better yesterday. Popped up the 20-day. Again, I like all these names long term. Please don't get me wrong. It's just, I know in a bear market, these things are going to get volatile. Out of a bear market, if the materials are going to lead and tech is going to lag, this stuff is going to get choppy. Let me, who's been around for a while? Let's go to letter X. Maybe you can just see this real quick. Let me show you the monthly. Going into, here we go. Coming out of the tech bubble, look at this. Choppy, 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 then boom. What if this is just choppy, choppy, choppy? Whenever the bear market ends, then boom. That's what I'm anticipating. So again, long term, teleport 2 years forward, we're probably looking at a much higher price. Teleport 2 months forward, I have no clue. This stock could be at $10. No clue. That would not be friendly. Let's get into tech. All right, AMD. I said this very nicely. I've been the biggest bear on this thing for a while. We hit our price zones. Again, was it perfect? I mean, that's a wide range, which I'm like, yeah, but it's dropped a lot. I'm not going to try to predict the exact price. Well, why did it hold 72s? Well, again, remember, every box has a reference point. It's the low end of the range from 2021. Yeah, I mean, for multiple years. Bottom line, bounced. You could play the calls. Now, someone was like, oh, I sold my position this morning. I'm giving up. I'll come back later. Again, professional gap. Again, first day off the bottom, professional gap. It's not usually the first day to sell. It is a bear market, so I understand the headlines are scary out there, but that's kind of have to ignore it and just trust the action. Now, I'd like to see higher volume. That is the one thing we're missing here. But maybe higher volume was the issue the last time it popped, and that's why it came back. If we can lighten, if we've wiped out bears and it can just rise on lower volume, it's just going to keep squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, and then bulls jump on the higher the price goes. Because again, real smart money, bulls, they're not real smart. Like the average bull will buy as it goes higher. They're not buying down here with us. That's not what they do. SMH, I mean, here again, this is the granddaddy of them all. Like if you were trading anything related to chips, what do we have? What have I said in previous videos about channel lows breaking, capitulating? Again, the volume, keep in mind, the further it stretches down, the less volume is available. It capitulates, novice gap, Look at this novice gap, and then close at the highs. Red flag, higher volume. We talked about that. And then, you know, people couldn't see it yesterday because they're like, oh, it's chopping. I don't want to buy any. Keep in mind, I unloaded all of my new core and Mosaic and was buying more of this stuff because I was looking at the action going, well, I know what my risk is. I don't mind buying up here. Now, that might have seemed scary to you, but again, I look at the daily chart and I go, wow, there's a lot of upside if I'm right here. And if I'm wrong, well, you know what? That happens. I'll set my stops and it's worth it to me because if we can get up to 230 and I buy at 195 and my stop is 190, lose $5, maybe to make what, $35, $40? You do the risk reward on that. I will play that bet all day, every day, Sunday, on whatever. So now let's get to where it's going. Well, look at the next VAP zone. Where do you think we're going? I mean, in my opinion, so this becomes very clear. I said, what did I say? Somewhere in the like 220s minimum. Well, look where that takes you. Channel high, old references, started the volume at price zone. Like that's the minimum because that's where all the volume is. Remember that. And if there's trap buyers, it might overwhelm the trend. But keep in mind, look what happened here in March when we had a bear market rally. It went from 237 up to what, 284. 50 points. Would you take 50 points from 190? That's 240. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Maybe it gets up to this fib. Even if it's just 25 points, are you happy with that? I know I am. Because that just means Soxel went bonkers. You can see Soxel, we were buying it in the 10, 11 range, even a little in 12. I think some of us, just whatever. If that's the case, here you go. Went from 27 up to 46. It's a double, daily double. Again, 11 up to, would you take 18, 19, 20? I would. Not going to complain about that. All right, Apple. Again, apologize if it seems long, but there's a lot to learn here. And I have to watch this and know this for myself. Apple, what do we say? It was holding up well. Tech might bounce, Dan. Well, look at that. It did. Maybe they're instituting, you know, bigger buyback or something coming up. Like someone knows something. We'll see. The iPhone 17X extravaganza with 17 cameras. I don't know. Whatever. We're rallying. Tech's leading. Going higher. What have we said? Oh, Roblox. This is another one. Bought into this one recently. I've been kind of layering into it. People are like, you're crazy. I'm like, didn't get in early, but I'm not going to. This thing was at 141. Yep. Here's the bottom. Here's the higher low. Here we go. 100-day. Squeeze is on. Now people were like, oh, you're buying it after today. I'm like, well, I didn't chase the 40 area, but I said, all right, watch 37, watch 38. You can see it here. Let me pull up the intraday chart. That is not it. 60-minute. You can see very clearly. Let me draw the zone. I said, you know what? I'm just going to watch these reference points. And then look at all these wicks. Wick. Boop. Higher. Now we get people like, oh, there's not a ton of volume. It's like, no, at this point, I don't expect a ton. I just expect shorts to cover and buy and people to buy every dip. How aggressive? We don't know this. This is something that you don't need to know. You just need to know the action is showing you it's holding up. And then what would happen? We close at 100-day, where again, I've said probably going to get up here. 53. I mean, 50, just call it whatever number you want to call it. It's a nice trade, folks. Even if I bought at 37, 38. Bought a little down here. That was great. We talked about that. That was awesome. Just ride the trend. The trend is your friend. Tesla said this about, I don't know, a dozen times a video every time. Don't short it. You got a double bottom. Tech's rallying. It's not the time to short Tesla. I mean, now how high does it go? Seems very logical that at worst it gets back to the recent highs up here in the 750s. Maybe it gets to the channel high at 800. Maybe it breaks over. Maybe it bear market rallies and it does, like, you know, keep in mind this is in March. It went from what, 750 up to 1140. Now I don't know if it'll rally 400 points. I highly doubt that, but could it rally 100 or 200 points from 6 something? Yeah, that could. Don't short it. Just please don't be quick to be stupid. And I know that sounds so funny to say that, but that's what I used to do. I always wanted to be the first one there to confirm something. And it's like, oops, that got real costly. EXPI, I said I liked it down here in the 11s, 10, 12s, whatever. I know this company. I work for them. This is insider information. This is not. The company's doing great. And again, this is why I always laugh when people post articles in the Discord room about this company this and this company that. If fundamentals mattered, the stock would not be at it'd be closer to 90, but it's actually closer to 14. So you do the math. That's an absolute blowout. And the fundamentals are great. Again, you want to show me fundamentals and something yada yada. Don't care. I just don't care about fundamentals. Because again, fundamentals is trying to get everyone to agree on what the proper valuation of a company is. And the market can't agree on shit. So you're going to try to tell me it's worth $40 a share right now? Well, if it was, then why isn't it there? I mean, you know what I mean? And could it rise there? I don't know. Again, these articles, you have to remember who writes them. They're meant for you and me, not for professionals. Professionals do not get trading advice from fools.com. Fool.com. Fool.com. Come on. Or whatever stupid outlet you're reading. Again, that's why I don't post articles at all, ever, about anything other than shit that I think is important, like the CHIPS Act for semiconductors. I hope people see that. Like, less is more. You show me stuff that literally I read for years and I thought would make me rich, and it honestly, if I would gone back on, I probably should have shorted every article that I thought was legit. Because I'd have way more money. Way more money. I'd be a billionaire probably. Double bottom, UTHR, what do we say? Rally, pulls back to the breakout. Amazing. Great entry. Now it's chopping. I've said less is more at this point. Like, you're probably need to raise your stops. You need to own less than more. At this point, it's probably 50-50 whether you go higher, because again, it could go higher with the market, but keep in mind, this thing went much higher. It's done really well compared to the market, which, you know, if you look at March on the SPY, it's like, and this is zip. Could it go higher? Again, buyout, who knows? At this point, please own less, not more. USO, what did we say yesterday? Don't be surprised if you bounce. Well, whatever the headlines, again, we can't predict the headlines, but again, you should own less. You should be shorting less the further it drops, because this kind of crap happens. Pop back to the 100-day. We'll see what happens. Again, I will short when I think I need to. Again, I have 80. This is hard to tell because, again, I hate price targets. We don't know. It's just a matter of I'm following it or not. XOP, what did I say? Somewhere down here. And again, and people are like, oh, you said 123s. Yeah, I did. Oh, but it went to 110 or 108. Okay, well, again, did you really miss that much? If you, again, start taking money. This is what I was saying. Start taking money down here, please. Now it rallies back, and now you don't know. Congrats. Now you're being greedy. Now, long term, now this is different. If you own DRIP, remember, it's a deteriorating fund. You have to trade it. You cannot hold it if this thing goes sideways, because it will brutally beat DRIP. I think this will go lower in time. But don't you want to wait for a pop? I do. ExxonMobil, what do we say? Got down into this like 80 range. Wow. It broke the trend. It's got to be bearish. Rallied right back up. Again, think about the probabilities and how hard it is to predict things. And now after big drops, you want to press your bet. That's what retail does. They short the lows. They buy the highs. Talked about this. Had to hold it here. And then look at this doji day. Broke below it. Came right back. Not saying it can't go lower. But again, if you shorted the channel highs in 280s and you're not taking profits down in the low 200s, what the hell are you doing? Market doesn't go one direction all the time. Remember, the straight line move will be at the end of the bear market. It's going to get choppy and sloppy and with a trajectory down, but the last move will be the straight line move. I don't think we're there yet. It might not even happen until 2023 if seasonality plays out. EQT, same thing. Said watch this range. Oh, it went a little lower. I got to short more. Bang. Fang, bang. Same thing. Went way lower than we thought. Bouncing right back. This is what trading is about. You see how it's like, oh, what's your downside target? I try to put great ones, but they don't always hold. All right, said 200-day. Again, this is why we shorted oil. We knew nat gas break would lead. How it rallies back. What? You want to short it at the lows? You had cold or whatever that ETF is. I mean, so many people, and it's like it got into the what is it? Let me look real quick. It's a KOLD. We'll end it here on this last little piece. KOLD, right? Yeah. God, this thing is such a piece of crap because it deteriorates. You bought it down here. It rallies up to 42 and you're pressing your bet and not taking any, then that's on you. Then don't be surprised. Then boom, bad gap down. You lost, 25% of its value basically in 2 days. These funds have to be traded. I say that over and over. They are not meant to be held like great blue chip stocks. Because again, would you like me to zoom out? Because this is what I want to end on. Look at this. 3-for-1. They have to do all these reverse splits. Look at this. This thing has just gotten absolutely, it's never getting back to 18,000. It's just reverse splitting and it's getting closer to zero. It will always get closer to zero in time. And what's funny is that this is a, what, ultra short ETF? I mean, ultimately, natural gas is not going to zero. So this ETF will. Keep that in mind. And then again, it'll reverse split. It'll get to like less than $1, and then it does a 5-for, a 20-for-1 split, or it gets less than $10 and it does a 3-for-1 split. This is how this game works. Study how these crappy, they're not crappy, they're great leverage tools near term, but they have to be traded, meaning you do not buy and hold them. I mean, even look at, apologize the rant, but like someone was saying, oh, I'm holding the SQQ through the whole bear market. And it's like, wait, what did you say? What did you, like, what? Like what? Reverse split, reverse split, reverse split, reverse split. No. You have to trade it. Like this thing, God, it's so ugly. I mean, it's just, you don't even realize what you're trading here sometimes, folks. It's literally on the mat, like dead. Well, of course, when the bull market peaks, this thing's coming off the mat, but it goes from what? 28 up to 67. 3x. It's meant to be a ultra short. Do you not think at some point it comes back into the 30s and then maybe it starts to rally again? Maybe it goes to a lower high. That's how these deteriorating products work. You don't hold them forever. And if you do, and you've seen these charts and you see how they literally almost look like they've died, that's on you. That is on you. Because even look at the TQQ, which is a bullish ETF. Again, sorry for these rants, but I think people need to hear this if you're this far. Nice run up, right? Again, if you actually followed it to the percentages, it's pretty good, right? We'll all agree with that. But remember, bear market is limited in time. It's not going to be forever. Bull markets usually last longer. I mean, bam. It's going to get smashed at some point. That's what the thing is, at the bottom, and then will it rally back? I don't know. I mean, we've been in a bull market. But this is what's crazy. Even if you look at this from 18 down to what, 7? And then it rallied back from 2019. Like these numbers, this is actually a good ETF. Maybe I'm hazing on it and it's not, because usually most bullish ETFs, like here, I apologize, that clearly that was not a great example. Here's a bullish ETF, USL. Does this, I mean, oil is closer to all-time highs, and this thing is nowhere close to it. Maybe go back to UNG. Closer to all-time recent, oh god, never getting back there again. All right, I made my point. Sorry that I got distracted. Again, at the QQQ stuff, it will get beaten. Just be careful. Just please be careful. SQQ, you have to trade it because you don't know how bad it could get. Anyway, love you guys. Thank you again for all of the generous support and love that you show to the channel. Again, if you are newer, ask someone who's been around for help. I apologize that I can't directly help you, but my goal is to help the people who need help on the bigger picture stuff, right? Like you need to learn the beginning stuff. That's on you. Once you get past a certain level, the stuff clicks. I can feed you the answers very quickly. The beginning stuff, it's a new language. You got to learn the language. You got to know the letters. That's on you. You got to learn the alphabet. You got to learn the lingo. You got to learn the jargon. You got to learn the charts. Nobody has time to teach you that. Maybe someone in the room will help you out, which again, I appreciate someone if they do. But once you get past a certain level, this stuff is like just rocket fuel to help you figure the market out. Talk to you later. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.